on leadership and life with your host, Roberta Pickett.
Welcome back to Insights on Leadership and Life. I'm your host, Roberta Pickett, and we are talking about ethics tonight with Barbara Besana and Mark Frederick. And Mark, just by the way, there's another Mark Fredericks here in Amador County,
Yes.
so people often get confused. But
Yes.
This is Mark Frederick.
Yes.
So just to clarify.
I think he owns a well company or something.
Yeah, something like that.
Something like that.
So different Mark. But anyway, so in this segment, we learned a little bit about your background. So let's talk about what is ethics, because I think that confuses some people. Do you have a good definition that you use?
Well, I think when you think about ethics, there's probably you think about doing the right thing. And one of the things that we talk about at clubs and at RILA and even at work is, what do you do when no one's looking?
Yeah.
You know, many people, they did a survey for youth at Josephson Institute, and about 90% of the kids said that they were ethical. But about 75% of them said that they lied to their parents or cheated on exams in the last year. So there's a disconnect, and I think that it probably is the same way with adults. Is that we think we're ethical, but are we always thinking of the ethics in the decisions that we make? Are we making decisions quickly and not thinking about stakeholders, not thinking about stopping and thinking of the ethics or the integrity that might surround that decision?
Or the unintended consequences
who you might impact.
Yeah.
And so I think it's really thinking or leading with intent and a focus.
Because it's like there's a perspective that, I'm a good person, so I'm an ethical person. Yeah. But ethics is really about those individual choices.
More than that. It's not just being a good person. It's how society, how individuals conduct themselves without a written law to tell you how to do it. It's almost like we know it's wrong to be mean or abuse someone, but is that something that they have to be taught, or is it like doing the right thing or the wrong thing? You mentioned before the meaning of right and wrong.
Right.
That's become vague in a lot of ways, and there's different interpretations.
Well, even, that you say it's wrong to be mean or to discourteous, and yet, we say we know that, but how often do, if we're in the parking lot and there's a parking space, and maybe we cut somebody else off because we want to get that one. Well, isn't that being discourteous? Isn't that when clearly the other person was there first? So, I think it can be even little things like that, is that integrity? Is that operating from an ethical perspective, right?
It's one of the things to think about. Number one, there's bullying issues, not only with kids, that's a problem. We deal with it in the 8th grade leadership program, but also with adults. You have bullying in the workplace. Think about a new person coming on the job. We've dealt with this within the last year, where somebody comes in and instead of helping that person succeed, their attitude is such that it's kind of bullying.
Almost like a sabotage too, right?
Yeah, it's like, I know more than you, and you have to prove yourself to me before I be nice, or and I'm thinking, really?
Yeah.
We're in a social service organization helping people be whole and healthy, and
yet, you see that behavior.
Yeah, I see that in my industry also, that leadership, that type of leadership isn't leadership at all. I think especially the youth today need good examples of people that are ethical, and especially in leadership roles. One of the things I always stress when I'm training managers is to lead by example. That is one of the best ways to learn.
And I always think, one of my mentors used to say, the camera is always on. So, if you are treating people discourteously, if you're grumpy, if you take a pen or two home at night, whatever those minor infractions, if you will, people are watching, and they say, well, he does it, it's okay, you know, she does it, it's okay. They rationalize that behavior and say, well, you know, it must be okay because he or she is doing it.
And then especially with social media.
Oh,
jeez.
You heard about the CFO who was mean to the girl, Wendy's or Carl's Jr.'s, and now he was fired, and now he can't get a job. So there's unintended consequence because he wasn't thinking with intent. He wasn't, you know, it's like when you do a eulogy. Have you ever done a eulogy and thought, okay, what do I want people to say about me when I die?
Right.
That's an interesting exercise to do.
And then are you living that life?
Yeah.
And are you living that life all the time, not just when somebody's looking?
You know, going back to that question about what's a good manager versus a good leader, I was thinking about it earlier today. I was thinking that, you know, it applies to us, it applies to leaders and managers clearly. Somebody, when we're responsible for not just ourselves, but a team of people or a group of people. But it also applies to us as individuals, because as an individual, I manage the things that I do, right? And ethically, I should do things right. I should do my best every day. I should put my best foot forward. I should provide the best that I can in my skill sets or whatever, and continue my learning. So to me, that's managing, being a good manager of myself. But the same is true with leadership. You know, as I lead my life, I should be doing the right things, leading myself. So whether it's as an individual or as a leader of people, I think it still applies.
Oh yeah, it's an extension of yourself.
Yeah.
Good leadership.
And you know, with Rotary, we think about service above self. And service in itself isn't ethical or integrity in and of itself.
Service above self, that's the motto of Rotary?
Yes. So I take it a little bit further, and we talked about this in Josephson Institute also, but it's about servant leadership. Is that you provide that ethical framework not only in the way you lead and the way you act, but serving others at the same time. And basically kind of, it's like that exercise. Have you ever done the exercise where you say, okay, who was a mentor and what qualities did they have? And then you kind of turn it around and say, okay, which of those qualities do you have, or are you trying to portray or exhibit, like core values?
Right. And, you know, if I remember correctly from Josephson, there's 6 core principles, I believe, that he says are universal principles that apply to ethical behavior, right? One of which is trustworthiness and respect. Let's see,
caring.
It sounds like terrific.
Responsibility.
Responsibility, caring, citizenship, and fairness.
Fairness, yes.
Fairness, yeah. So, does that apply? Is it, you know, do you try to be fair at work?
Yeah, those are terrific principles to apply to your life, or if you're in a leadership role, or like you were saying, your personal life. That integrity, I think, is what I find in managing in recent years is a commodity that's not there a lot of the times.
Integrity sort of incorporates all of those.
Yeah, and there, I'm not sure if the meaning of integrity is the same for everyone.
Well, I think we use it a lot, but I don't think people. I think there seems to be a void in recent years in certain areas. It's like it doesn't seem to be as important that we're nice to each other, that we're good for our word, that we're.
Maybe because some of our leaders haven't given us good examples of being ethical. I think we're our heroes of integrity today.
Who's your hero?
Do you have a hero? I probably have to. I'm a history buff, and I've always sound corny, but since I was a little kid, Abraham Lincoln, he had incredible ethics and integrity and everything, and was hated by a large majority of the public. And yet he stood by. Yet he stood by, and in the long run, he's a great example. I don't know why. That's probably something that's stuck in my head since I was a little kid in school. Had a good teacher along the way, or something.
That's a good point, because a lot of times when you're making a decision, the right decision is not always the easiest decision. Sometimes it can be personally painful.
It can. Yeah, that's right.
Personally painful, yet the right thing to do. So we're going to come back and talk more about that, because it's a really, what are the obstacles that we run into when we're talking about ethical behavior, and I think you've brought up a good one. And I'd also like to hear who maybe your hero is in terms of that. But it's a good one. So this next segment we'll get into a little bit, what are some of the temptations, and how do we get around them, and how do we make decisions that are ethical decisions? But before we do, we want to give our sponsors a chance to talk about what they do and to advertise their businesses. So we're going to be coming back in just a minute for more on insights and leadership in life. And please hold on and be right back.